Though on Scandal in Broctica, uh, Neil find diversity agus inclusion. Ah, nu mission troch daragad a rish agus a rish ella shenai. Two things have happened. Two things. First one, the watch has been found, as you can see. The watch has been found because a woman I know with remote viewing powers, a real psychic, said it was underneath the mattress in the middle of the bed, hidden by the mattress cover. And that's where it was. She remote viewed it perfectly, 100%. It was, I'd had a pain in my side, which I've had since I had the really bad flu last year, well, early this year. So I sometimes have to sleep on the other end of the bed, like switching. And it must have came off during the night, or I took it off in my sleep, and it fell down in the wooden gap where the mattress sits into, and then went under the bed, under the mattress cover, hidden. So, one. Secondly, another weird thing has been happening. A good thing. It hasn't happened since I was a teenager, and no, it's not masturbating 10 times a day. When I wake up in the morning, I'm starting to think in Irish again, in my own pidgin Irish. And I used to always think in Irish until I started to work in the corporate world. That's when I changed my accent. I used to have a much thicker North Side Dublin accent than this, and I didn't pronounce my T's and H's. And you just, the North, it's just the way the world is. In business language, you can't have a thick accent. You have to learn how to communicate if you want to get paid. So and it happened around that time. So I would always think in Irish things, like grabbing a shopping bag. I'd always think, on a mall, a shopper. I'd always think in that way. And that stopped when I was in my, say, early 20s. And it's coming back. It's coming back, and it comes back in the morning. And it comes back, it just crept back up on me in the last few months. Now, I don't know what that means, but it helps me to see things clearly. And so I'm trying to keep it going all day. I see things differently. It changes your consciousness. Language definitely does. Now, what I said in Irish then was that the whole carry on, the issue, the scandal about the flags, that what's going on in Ireland and the UK is not about diversity and inclusion. It's about property prices. And that's all there is to it. That's it. That's all. It's middle class bourgeois property prices. Now, I saw a video recently where they had this woman in this posh part of Dublin living along the coast saying, this is a diverse, inclusive community. No, and this also explains why the Labour Party in Ireland is so anti the flag thing. Now, you see, what they do is they perceive the flying of the national flag to be a working class thing, okay? A working class thing. And that's where also the IPAS and refugee housing and areas are, and the middle class and above use their economic apartheid to make sure. It's like the way in the posh parts of Dublin, there are no IPAS centres. There are, even in the basic middle class centre, they're all in the working class areas, because that's for the working class to deal with. And then they associate flags. The working class people tend to be the most patriotic. They're also on the front line of this bizarre experiment importing millions of people from totally incompatible cultures, and they're having to live with it. And I'm not saying live with it like even having to deal with the people. They're the ones who are being affected by the school placings because they don't have to go to private schools. They have to depend on the public school system. These are the people who are being pushed back in the healthcare queues because they don't have public insurance, private insurance. They have to use the public healthcare system, the medical card system, as we call it in Ireland, the NHS they call it in England, and Britain. And so that's That's what it's all about. It's just that when you hear someone complaining about flags, they're complaining about it's affecting their property prices. When they see an Irish flag on the street lamp outside their middle class home, or a Union flag, or a St. George flag, or a Scottish saltire, or a Welsh dragon outside their homes on their street, the first thing they think is that's going to knock 100,000 off my property value. That's all that's about. And that's all that's about. And they are pretending they care about diversity. And this is why they're so desperate to portray our national flags as far right hate symbols, and talking about, it being owned, it being hijacked. No, they only want to, they only, they care. You go to middle class parts of Dublin, you see, and Irish cities in general, Ukrainian flags everywhere. You'll never see an Irish flag. And you go to some certain kind of, like, where students are and things like that, you see the Arab Hamas flag, never an Irish flag. See, it's all the Irish middle class love the Ukrainian flag but hate the Irish flag, because the Irish flag takes 100,000 off their property. The Ukrainian flag allows them the virtue signal, and in their minds, of course. And so, like, you see that in England. Like, I saw one video of some guy, some guy caught some rat taking down the St. George's Cross from some neighbourhood in England, and he was a little beady, coward, tweedy civil servant type, because that's who the real, and this is why the Labour Party are involved heavily in Ireland. The Labour Party in Ireland was ahead of the game of the Labour Party in Britain. The Labour Party in Ireland is exclusively the party of the middle class civil servant and the government worker, and they have a hatred of the working class. And now you have that in the British Labour Party too. And how they work is, this is why all the Labour councillors are all disgusted by it, because they're civil servants, and have a job for life, they're able to take up 2 or 3 mortgages. So the biggest property developers in Ireland that are causing the rental increases and are not these big time corporate property developers. No, they're the civil servant who works in the Department of Health, the one who has a little rainbow flag on their desk. It's the civil servant who works in the Department of the Environment and Transport. It's the policeman. It's the train driver. These are the ones, these middle class types that have jobs for life in the public utilities or the civil service. And they go able to get 2 or 3 mortgages, buy 2 or 3 houses, rent the extra house at extortionate rate, and then, vote for the Labour Party because they support diversity and inclusion, which they don't, because if it comes into their neighbourhood in any way, shape, or form, their economic apartheid has been breached, and the sign of that economic apartheid being breached is an Irish flag or an English flag. It's ironic that the Labour Party here is saying the Irish flag being flown has been imported from Britain. No, your reaction to it has been imported from England. Your reaction to it is what's come over. Your middle class bourgeois, property obsessed, valuation obsessed mentality is what stopped it. That's what they're afraid of. When they talk about, this is a diverse neighbourhood, what they're really saying is, don't you dare knock 100,000 euros off my property value. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They're scum. They're absolute scum. I bought 3 flags yesterday. You should, wherever country you live in, buy your flag, and as you know, hang out your brightest colours. Same with the roundabout thing. That's a very important one. I wish in Ireland people would start painting crosswalks and roundabouts in the Irish flag. This is why the middle class, they don't know the difference between the Danish flag and the St. George Cross. These types. Now, what they see when you drive into a neighbourhood, a roundabout is usually the junction of certain neighbourhoods, often into middle class. When the middle class is coming down there and they see the George's Cross, the George's Cross painted on a roundabout, on a circle, the first thing they think is that my economic apartheid has been breached, and this will destroy property value around here. Commoners coming in, they'll think there's commoners living here. That's what you're dealing with. It's that's all they're afraid of. So yeah, that was good news. The watch is back. Thank you to a remote viewing psychic. So that stuff is true. I started thinking in my Pidgin Irish again in the morning, which will improve as I think more. I'll get back my tongue again properly. And you're the people who are against the flags are only against it because they're worried about their property values, and the Labour Party supports them because the Labour Party is the party of the bourgeois public sector worker and civil servant, who are the real slumlord class in our islands. And buy flags, stick them up, fly them everywhere, until the middle class are back in the middle class civil servants are back in therapy again, which has actually happened to some councils in England. They're not getting therapy because they're afraid they're dealing with racists. They're getting therapy because they're going, oh my God, our property values have collapsed. Take care. Talk to you later.